Pop Culture Pastor.
So, Cody, every week, you may not know this about me, but I like to check the podcast charts. Not because we're on them, of course, but because I enjoy the quiet humbling of scrolling past thousands of shows that have more listeners than us.
What?
Yo, were you unaware?
I thought we were in the top 3.
Oh, no. There's a podcast out there where two guys just review different brands of canned beans. They're sponsored.
We're behind them?
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Meanwhile, we're over here pouring our hearts out, crafting brilliant pop culture insights, getting beat by Been There, Done That. Been There, Done That, Cody.
Can we do a collab with them?
Can we collab with Been There, Done That?
Fingers crossed.
I'm bringing this up because there's about to be another podcast that's going to leave us in the dust.
Uh-oh.
Someone else has just revealed they're starting a podcast because everyone's got a podcast, right?
I'm on 2, so.
Well, good for you. Yeah, so before we get to that, I should say this is Pop Culture Pastor. My name's Dave. Cody's here.
I am, and soon, maybe Been There, Done That.
You don't have a chance for Being There, Done That. Just telling you. Also, Sir Jackson is here, Geek of the Round Table. Welcome, sir.
Joop, joop.
And yeah, let's hit this news. Steve Burns, yes, that's Steve from Blue's Clues, is launching a new podcast called Alive, aimed at the now grown-up kids who once yelled answers at their TV screens. It's being billed, Cody, as a continuation of what he started decades ago. But instead of hunting for clues with a cartoon puppy, he'll be guiding listeners through adult problems, such as, but not limited to, personal finance.
I was going to say taxes.
Here, this one's going to make you mad. Spirituality.
Sweet.
Modern love. Because who knows better than Steve from Blue's Clues?
I like to think he knows all the answers to life.
And how to stay human in a complicated world. His words, not mine.
Will there be songs like We Just Got Depression? We just got depression.
Man, I hope so.
I know where it's from.
This podcast is going to be awesome. Yeah, so the podcast will be produced by Lemonada Media, and will drop this fall. Burns says it won't be just a podcast you listen to. It will be a podcast that listens back.
I feel seen and heard.
I know. What is it with this guy? This guy's already connected in a way where he hasn't put one pod out yet. And he's already connecting better.
Maybe we can collab with Steve.
No, we're not even close. He'd be like, nah.
You're climbing on a lot of coattails tonight.
Yeah, he's like, I don't collab with peasants.
Mr. Two-Pod.
His announcement video was a calm, reflective whisper to your inner child, Cody.
Well, that's nice.
That was also not my words. Season 1, he says, will focus on the millennial journey through adulthood, making this basically Blue's Clues for the emotionally tired and financially insecure.
Has he read my journals?
I would assume. He just knows you, Cody. He knows you. Were you a Blue's Clues watcher?
So I feel I was aging out as Blue's Clues was coming up, but definitely watched it. And since I have a younger sister that's younger than me by 2 years, that like it was always on. So
yeah.
Like it wasn't my first choice. It wasn't Street Sharks.
Wow. Street Sharks.
Got to make himself feel edgy.
Yeah.
Jackson, were you a Blue's Clues watcher?
I was, but never intentionally. I was one of those, like, my cartoons start 30 minutes after this, but I'm already here in front of the TV.
It wasn't Gola Gola Island.
It wasn't. Or Allegra's Castle.
Yeah.
Or Eureka's Castle. Allegra was something else.
Yeah, Allegra had
I was a
something.
Nickelodeon kid growing up.
For context, Steve left Blue's Clues in 2002. You might remember.
Because he was balding.
Which
I don't
is a
think that's
lot
why he left.
tamer than what I heard. So.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because it sparked 1,000 playground rumors. He's fine, by the way. He's still alive.
Bald.
And in recent years, he's leaned into the nostalgia of it all, most famously with a 2021 viral video telling fans, "I never forgot you," which was sweet.
Do we know how Joe's doing?
Who's Joe?
I think he was Steve's replacement, if I remember right.
I think he was the first guy
That's just
after.
weird. That's just weird. It was like one day my kid was watching, the guy for this generation with the hat. What's his name?
Steve.
No, not Steve. He has the multicolored hat.
Blippi.
Blippi. Yeah, Blippi. My son was watching Blippi one day, and then it was like just some totally different dude. I'm like, that's not Blippi. But it must have been the same thing for millennials, right?
This isn't your father's Blippi.
That's not Steve. Is Steve Burns the therapist millennials never knew they needed? Or is this just another nostalgia cash-in, Cody?
It's nostalgia cash-in, but I'm here for it. And he seems genuine.
Okay, well, but if he's genuine, then it's not. Well, it is.
So
This is corporate, though.
I think
obviously.
corporate is cashing in on Steve's genuineness and millennials' nostalgia-ness.
Yeah.
It's a lot of nisses.
It is.
I feel good for Steve, but yeah, it's unfortunate that somebody gets to cash in on this, and it's not us.
It's not.
Because
that wrong?
otherwise, perfectly fine.
Is that wrong? We're ready to sell out?
I was ready from day one.
Okay. What about you, listeners? Would you like to hear the new podcast Alive from Steve Burns, or would you rather just rewatch Blue's Clues with a weighted blanket and cry a little?
Or a lot.
Let us know. Or a lot, Jackson says. Lastly, I have some Brad Pitt news.
Bradley Pitt?
He was on a podcast recently, not ours.
I'm noticing a trend that we keep bringing up other podcasts.
Scheduling conflicts, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, we tried. Dax Shepard's podcast, which I'm not even going to look and see how many listeners that one has. But he was talking about a lot of things, but he talked about, well, he was very open about his past and his drug abuse, alcohol abuse, things of that nature, which I thought was eye-opening.
Marriage fallout.
Yes. But he talked something specifically about the movie Seven, which I thought was interesting. In 1995, Seven, if you remember, gave us one of the most unforgettable and bleak endings in movie history.
What's in the box?
Yeah. So it's about a serial killer and these two cops, the old cop and the young cop. And it's it's kind of stereotypical, but it ends anything but, because they catch the guy, and then at the end, this box gets delivered and his wife's head's in it.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. But it's been a long time. I mean, well, you assume. They don't show you that, obviously. What do you think? They're monsters?
I like to think there's a director's cut that they do show you.
It implies that Pitt's character receives his wife's head in a box.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, who actually ended up becoming his girlfriend for a while. Or maybe fiance. Were they engaged? I don't even know.
It was the 90s. I tried to blot it out.
It's kind of an odd meet cute when you think about it.
Yeah. It almost didn't happen. The end, not the relationship. Pitt told Entertainment Weekly, as well as the podcast, that he only agreed to do the film if that ending stayed intact. He insisted that his character had to act on passion and shoot John Doe, who was played by Kevin Spacey, who is the evil guy.
In real life and in the movie.
The studio, nice. The studio apparently felt a little squeamish about the end, wanted to soften the blow, and one idea was to put his dog's head in the box.
I thought that was much worse.
Doesn't like
Peter would have
anything.
been highly upset, man. Why the dog? Why not Gwyneth Paltrow?
Exactly.
Others pitched that Brad Pitt's character should choose not to kill him, making him the hero who resists revenge, which would have made for a more morally upright ending, but also a less memorable one. Ultimately, Seven's gut punch finale helped the film stand out. It made $327 million at the box office. 320. That movie is dark, man. And that made $327 million at the box office.
Well, when you have Morgan Freeman as your buddy cop that's old, you're just cashing in checks, buddy.
Man, I forgot how amazingly big that movie was. That's crazy. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% audience score.
I believe that.
There's our movie game.
Yeah, there you go. And it cemented its place in pop culture. That dark ending was, it wasn't just that it was shocking, was that it kind of felt real. Like it felt real. Somehow not seeing it made it more real, like just through the acting, which was, I mean, is that Brad Pitt's best performance?
I have to think about that one.
Cody's more of a Thelma and Louise guy.
And much like Thelma and Louise, it's an ending that says, what would I have done in that moment? Would I have taken my lumps and got captured by the police, or would I drove into the Grand Canyon laughing with Louise? That's Cody thinks about that every day. No, would you have, killed the killer, or like in a very emotional, raw moment, or would you have let him face justice?
Hard to say.
Yeah,
But
do you think it was the right choice?
I think it was the right choice for this movie. Because, like you said, it's memorable. It not only made money at the box office, it still has a cult following.
Yeah.
And it's in the conversation for memorable dark endings with, like, The Mist and other films.
Well, I think...
Donnie Darko.
Yeah, the dark endings. Like, what other movies that you can think of benefited from not giving the audience a happy ending? Like this, Seven is like maybe the bleakest and spawned memes itself. Like, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Every time there's a package on my front porch, I message my wife, what's in the box?
And you talked about The Mist, was the last couple weeks ago, our last pod. And that's pretty dark.
Very dark.
Empire Strikes Back, kind of dark. I mean, Han Solo's head isn't in a box, but he's frozen in carbonite.
He is.
Any other movies we're missing that end darkly?
Donnie Darko, he dies at the end, and everyone lives happily, which is like the weirdest message ever.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of weird. What do you mean, like they live happily? It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
So,
like everyone's happy. They're just...
The only people that are sad, and it's only for a moment, is the parents. The teacher that he busts for doing inappropriate things, looking at you, Patrick Swayze, rest in peace. He gets off scot-free. No one knows the difference.
That's rough.
Teachers get to keep their jobs that lose their jobs. The school doesn't get tossed into mayhem. The girl that he dates while he's still alive, she's like, I wish that I knew that kid. And that's it. That's it.
This movie sounds terrible.
Terribly awesome. And we're reviewing it on Halloween.
Are we?
It's a Halloween movie. It's a Halloween movie.
Oh, man. Do I have to? I feel like I've watched it once and I don't even remember any of it.
Well, it will be fresh to you the second time you watch it.
All right. Let us know if you're against watching Donnie Darko as a pod together. Did anyone see the new Fantastic Four trailer that dropped this morning?
There's a new trailer?
Oh, okay. Apparently not. Good.
There's your answer.
Thank you guys for doing your homework before coming in to record the pod today. It was awesome, by the way. I'm just going to be that guy. We're just going to record this for posterity. You see that Fantastic Four trailer? It was awesome.
I did see the Fantastic Four Little Caesars pizza advertisement.
Oh? Is it like 4 different kinds of pizza?
It is.
One pie? That's pretty weird.
And the Crocs. I sent you the Crocs.
You did send me the Crocs.
We are we'll just give you some show notes here before we move on. We've got the Be Kind Rewind here this week for Jurassic Park, the original. Next week, we will be reviewing Jurassic World...
New World Order.
Infitata.
Rebirth.
I mean, New World Order. I don't even remember the name of it. It's going to be terrible. But we're going to review it.
It's going to be awesome.
It's the start of blockbuster season.
It is also technically probably the first one in this line of movies.
Oh, boy. I can't wait.
Yay.
Well, Jurassic World was good. Everyone loved it, and they're like, we need more. And then we realized, the first
we
one
don't.
in each one of these series are good.
But this is still a Jurassic World.
But it's like kind of a, we're going to go back to the well in a different vein. No Chris Pratt.
Cody is coping so hard right now. We'll see.
Mr. DNA says it's okay.
But this whole next month's going to be fun. We're going to do a lot of movie reviews and a lot of blockbusters. And
I got my Superman shirt ready.
yeah, we're going to do this. All right. It's time for us to Be Kind Rewind for Jurassic Park. We'll be right back. Cody, we got Cody here. See, nobody cares.
Exactly.
Dodge. Why is Nedry so unlikable in this movie?
Because he's Newman.
And why is Wayne Knight so good at playing unlikable dudes?
Even in Space Jam, a little unlikable.
Oh, man. I forgot how cringy he was in this movie.
/ brilliant.
Apparently, he brings Jurassic Park to his knees. We are here to Be Kind Rewind Jurassic Park. 1993's Jurassic Park. I suppose I should look up the numbers on this. It's going to be pretty impressive, don't you think?
It is.
Do you know the numbers offhand?
No.
I thought you were a Jurassic Park super fan.
I am.
Here we go. 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. 90% of 68% on Metacritic. What's up with that?
Fascist.
June 11th, 1993. Cost only $63 million to make.
I would have guessed $163 million.
That is wild. Made a billy at the box
Back
office.
in the 90s.
1.058 billion with a B.
Before Titanic was a thing, and like all the movies made a billy in the aughts and tens.
This is big time. Okay, since this is going to be an important movie for both of you, I figured we could go around the table and say, like, you've got to state your relationship with this movie. Jackson, we'll let you start, because I assume for your guys' age, this one is a huge, big deal.
I would say for me, it was really kind of the first horror movie I think I was allowed to see.
Horror? Did you say horror?
I would say so.
He also thinks Jaws is a horror movie.
Oh, go on. Yep, we got you.
Okay.
I hear you.
I don't take kindly to the disdain in your voice. This was kind of my first journey into action horror, and it was a pretty intense movie. I know the opening, I think I had to come back later and continue afterward. But
Jackson's such a soft soul.
I know.
So tender. I like having Jackson here.
But it was a pretty seminal movie for me. It wasn't something that I necessarily kept the fandom going. I actually, growing up, enjoyed the second one more than the first.
Oh, I can see there's already across the table talk going
That
on
was a comeback later in life to maybe give Cody a little credence in his critiques of the second one. But it was a franchise I enjoyed. The first two, not the third, but for me, it still holds up. I mean, I know you can kind of see the strings a little more now with where we've gone in technology, but it's still an enjoyable ride. I don't feel like it's something that's aged itself out where, you know, when my son's a little older, I can show it to him and I think he's still going to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a Spielberg movie at heart, which means you're going to have moments that are maybe a little much for the kids, but overall, I think kids love these kind of movies, especially Spielberg movies. Cody, give us your Jurassic Park experience.
So, growing up, this was one of my favorite movies that I rewatched repeatedly.
This is your Goonies.
This is my Goonies.
Wow.
I had the bed sheets. I had the curtains. I had some of the toys. I was all about Jurassic Park. I wanted to be someone that...
A paleontologist?
Was either a paleontologist or became a dino expert.
Not Wayne Knight.
Not Wayne Knight. I loved the trilogy as a kid. As I grew older in my teens, realized 2 was trash, 3's okay, and 1 is peak cinema, as Marty would say. Mm-hmm. And the cast in this is perfect. Like, as I grow older and I look back, I'm like, oh, my love for this person came from this movie. And so Sam Neill can do no wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's just talk about this as a franchise while you mention the sequels, because this, in our lifetimes, is one of the most prolific franchises out there. I mean, just by volume. And you're right. 2 is weird. It's weird because I think 3 is actually pretty decent, but because 2 was a little bit of a letdown, in my opinion. Jackson's giving me the evil eye over
3
here.
has a talking raptor. I'm just going to put that out there.
Does it?
Walk from the mic.
Does
Wait,
it?
It does?
Does it?
I don't remember that.
Alan.
He doesn't talk.
What does he do? I don't remember that part.
He doesn't talk.
There's a raptor in the plane that says Alan.
No.
Well, I don't remember that part.
So, in the
I
second
mean, is
one...
it worse than Jurassic World and Chris Pratt's Raptor Whisperer?
So, in the second one, they bring the dinosaurs to the mainland. You can't take Jurassic Park out of the park. You gotta stay on the park.
Yeah.
And this is a backup island that they were having more dinosaurs being genetically made for the third one. And that, I don't remember why they needed to go there, but they needed to go there.
To rescue, in 3, it was to rescue the thrill-seeking uncle and boy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he takes the boy because he's irresponsible to, like, paraglide over this island. And, of course, terrible things happen, because always.
Laura Dern could not be bothered to go on the trip, but she would make phone calls.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm not so sure. Watching this movie again in the last couple days, I'm not so sure you needed any franchise or sequels. And if one looks like the most okay, it's probably Jurassic World. It's probably the reboot 30 years later where it's not really a reboot. It's just a continuation that's far in the future.
Yes.
And that one might be okay. But watching this one, it took me back to just how stunning this movie actually is. The broad take is, and if you need a broad take on Jurassic Park, wow. But the broad take...
Dinosaurs.
The broad take is there's this eccentric, super huge billionaire who's created a amusement park on an island off the coast of Costa Rica with real dinosaurs. They have cloned them using DNA found in mosquitoes trapped in amber from the Cretaceous period, which is hilarious because it's called Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Not Cretaceous Park.
Well, that doesn't roll off the tongue, Dave.
No, it does not. But he's setting it up, and he needs scientists to sign off on it. So they invite this group of people, including Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, Dr. Ellie Sattler, who is his companion, played by Laura Dern, and then of course you have Ian Malcolm, played by
the Bloom,
Jeff Goldblum, who is fantastic, but we'll get to him.
Hefe.
And then, terrible things happen because that's what happens. So the whole movie is an adventure of how are they going to get out of this?
I blame B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong.
Most people do for most things.
That dude, is there another actor with a bit part who seems more evil without trying to than B.D. Wong? That dude just seems like... In fact, I thought they were making fun of that in that Jurassic World Dominion when we get to see him again, and he's like over the top evil.
He's a good guy on Law and Order.
I didn't know he was on other things.
I think it's Law and Order. It's either Law and Order or SVU.
They all come in and out of all those universes.
Now, did you guys read the book Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton?
That book was 100 years old by
Who's
the
got
time
time to read,
this
Dave?
came out.
I mean, I know. Hence, like, I know you guys were young. I read the book before the movie.
Like, holy cow, that's a big book.
Did you read Michael Crichton books? They're page turners, man. It would have taken you no time at all.
I was in grade school.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's fair. That's fair. But Michael Crichton books are great. You should try them out.
Actually, I wasn't even in preschool when it first came out.
Have you read any Michael Crichton books? Did they make you read Andromeda Strain in
I
school?
have watched ER.
That counts. What about you, Jackson? Any Michael Crichton experience?
Not with the books, no. I was always more of a, if they've made a movie, let's watch the movie.
Yeah, Westworld wasn't a book, I don't think. I think he wrote the story for the original movie back in the 70s. Because he did a lot of screenwriting work as well. Basically, the novel, I know Cody said it was 1,000,000 years old, but it was only 3 years older in the movie. It came out in 1990.
I was 1.
Okay, I understand that, but there's these things called libraries.
I would have to get a library card again.
I think you might like, if you love the movie so much, you might like the book.
Cody never learned the Dewey Decimal System.
It's honestly, it's like an alternate universe version because it's much different in a lot of ways. So the book leans into the science fiction of it all more than the adventure kind of leaned into by Spielberg's film. John Hammond in the book, he's portrayed as a greedy, manipulative CEO with little regard for safety. Like, he never cared about safety.
Sounds just like him.
Richard Attenborough would never.
No. In the film, Richard Attenborough depicts him as a kind, well-meaning grandfather figure who may be a bit naive. Dr. Alan Grant in the book, rugged, bearded paleontologist in his 40s, and looks it. Whereas in the film, he might be 40, but he's kind of younger, looking more approachable.
Although very rugged with his velociraptor talon.
What that part with the kid at the beginning.
Love that part.
Oh my goodness. That seemed even more harsh than I remember it. Dr. Ellie Sattler in the book, a 24-year-old paleobotanist. In the film, she's an established doctor with a little bit more prominent of a role. She's not that big of a role in the book.
Also, age gap. Scandalous.
Okay, do we need to talk about that right now? Because we've talked about that before.
We have.
And watching this movie, I'm just going to say, okay, so first we need to say it. Anyone that hadn't listened to that particular pod, Laura Dern had thoughts in an interview here a couple years back where she thought the age gap between Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Sattler, who are clearly in a romantic relationship, they hint at it. You don't see any evidence of it in the movie other than them hinting at it.
They make goo-goo eyes at each other.
But she was like, she went over the top in her description of how wrong she thought it was, which I believe we lambasted on this podcast because I was just like, that's absurd. That's absurd. He looks like he's 35 in this movie.
Also, I mean, technically the characters are both PhDs, so they're older, they are mature, they can decide if they want to. Now, her being cast as a young woman, Sam Neill being a slightly older gent, maybe she can have qualms with that.
They don't even kiss in the movie.
Well, maybe,
not one kiss.
Maybe in the director's cut there is kissing.
I would argue there's more chemistry with Malcolm and her than...
At times, he's definitely playing it up.
To be fair, everyone has more chemistry with Jeff Goldblum.
Agreed.
Because it's just Goldblum. That's how people react to the Goldblum, man. Everything goes
until
with Jeff.
he turns into a fly.
I was going to say both natural and as a fly.
Especially when we know that in future movies, they don't end up together. Like,
none of those people end up together.
I was reminded of how ridiculous that was, saying that about this movie, because at no time, first of all, they're both paleontologists. They're both working on the same project. It's obvious they would be in some sort of relationship as adults who like the same things.
Yeah.
And like spending time with each other. Like, it's just such a weird thing to say. Anyways,
Also, they're in the Badlands.
what else are you going to do, right?
Exactly.
Except for, cover the dig when a stupid billionaire's helicopter lands.
Hate when that happens.
And scare young children about large birds that have giant claws and hunting packs.
Exactly.
Ian Malcolm in the book suffers critical injuries and is presumed dead at the end of Jurassic Park, the book. Spoilers.
He had critical injuries in this. Mm-hmm. Had to be helped into the helicopter.
Tim and Lex Murphy, the grandkids in the book. Tim is the older sibling. Lex is the younger sibling. They switch them around in the movie.
It works.
And in the book, several characters meet gruesome ends in the book. Lots more death in the books, including John Hammond himself, who dies in the book. In the film, deaths are softened or omitted altogether. Hammond survives. It's a much... like I said, it's a different story. It's like watching it's like reading an alternative reality version of what you're used to.
Is Hammond the only one we lose in the book that we don't lose in the movie, or
No, Ian Malcolm is presumed dead. They don't find his body, which I won't spoil it any more than that. I will say that the book ends like
Dave's trying to get me to get my library card.
Pay those fines.
When I watched the movie for the first time, because I had already read the book, I immediately, like through the course of the movie, understood how different it was. But it didn't take me... You know how most things, when you do it in that order, it takes you out of it a little bit? Mm-hmm. You're like, oh man, this isn't like the book at all that I kind of liked.
Looking at you, Hunger Games.
Yeah, and it takes you out of it. This one it never did, because it just felt like, oh, this is like a different version of this story, and it didn't bother me. Like the ending for the first Jurassic Park, or for the book, boy, it's a Michael Crichton special. Michael Crichton had a tendency to write amazing stories and then like throw up his hands and give up on the end. Like, if you don't know.
Yes.
And a lot of Deus Ex Machina, or a lot of just, I'm not really sure how to end this, so I'm just going to end it without anything really being resolved. So the book ending of Jurassic Park has the main characters like being held in Costa Rica indefinitely. Like, they won't let them back to the mainland because they don't want them to tell people what was out there.
I feel J.J. Abrams does that.
Maybe.
That he doesn't know how to end it. So, like, he just gives you, like, everything ends well.
And a lens flare.
Lens flare! Okay. Action sequences are also different in the book. In the book, there are many more sequences than in the movie that they got cut from the movie due to time and money concerns, such as a raft scene and the atrium scene with the pterodactyls. Both of those make it into later Jurassic movies. Mm-hmm. Which is good, because the atrium scene, especially with the pterodactyls in the book, when you're reading it, you're like, oh, this would make an amazing movie sequence. So yeah, those are basic differences between the book and the movie. And I would invite you, Cody, to read some Michael Crichton.
I will try this.
Okay. Muppetize the movie. Jackson, keep one human actor. Pick at least three specific Muppets in other parts. There's only one correct answer for this, right?
No.
All right.
We'll see where Cody goes.
Just checking.
Let's keep Muldoon.
Yeah!
Muldoon. I don't even know that actor's name.
Muldoon.
It's just Muldoon.
That is Bob Peck, sir.
Oh, well, there will be no future Bob Peck slander on this podcast.
And then let's switch out Grant with Kermit.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. There's an obvious one that goes along with that.
And then Miss Piggy for Ellie.
Yeah, oh yeah, naturally.
And then for Malcolm,
Who are you going to get to play Malcolm?
I'm going to divert from Gonzo, which I feel is an obvious choice, into Fozzie.
Shirtless Fozzie.
What more do you need, Dave?
That just got weird. Cody, who are your Muppetized picks?
Okay, so I almost just nearly kept Mr. DNA.
He brought in a Mr. DNA Funko Pop.
Yeah.
It's sitting here on the recording table.
And I'm wearing my Jurassic Park socks right now, so...
He's staring at it for inspiration
I
between
am.
comments.
So, I'm keeping Nedry.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, Wayne Knight.
We're keeping Wayne Knight. Sam the Eagle will be John Hammond. Kermit will be Sam Neill. Gonzo as Jeff. Fozzie as Sam Jackson. Miss Piggy as Laura Dern. Beaker as Timmy. And Annie Sue as Lex.
He's even cast Muppet grandkids. That's amazing.
See, I had Beaker replacing the Dilophosaurus, but then I diverted.
I really thought that Jeff Goldblum was so obvious that I tried. I tried to come up with other alternatives. I didn't like him, so I'm keeping Jeff Goldblum. Because who doesn't want to see Jeff Goldblum acting with Muppets? That just seems too good to pass up.
I almost went Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
That would have been number 2. That would have been a close second. Because I'd like to see Sam Jackson with Muppets too. But I'd rather see Shaft Sam Jackson with Muppets. Or some other version of Sam Jackson.
Pulp Fiction.
So I'm keeping Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. Kermit, obviously, is Alan Grant. Piggy as Ellie Sattler, because of course Piggy would be making jokes the entire movie about how Kermit is much too old for her. Because that's hilarious to me. Fozzie as Nedry. I had Fozzie as Nedry because I could see him in the Hawaiian shirt and just being like that.
It's a dark turn for the Foz man.
Ray, Samuel L. Jackson's character, I have Rolf because I can just see Rolf saying, "Hold on to your butts." And of course Elmo is Tim, just so I can see him get electrocuted. That's my
a
Muppetized.
little dark.
Yeah, but it's Elmo. He's fine. He's a Muppet. He's just a little frayed around the edges. He'd be all right. All right, you guys, what holds up in this movie?
So much holds up. Like the whole movie? Can we say that?
Oh yeah, you can say that.
But I'll go with the cast because that's what I do every time. You got a tour de force with this cast, with maybe the weak point being Joseph Mazzello, but
who's Joseph Mazzello?
Tim Murphy.
Oh, okay.
I said maybe the weak point being Tim.
Okay, real thing here though, because I did note that in my notes that these are among the weaker of the child actors that Spielberg has. Mm-hmm. Because Spielberg is known for getting these great performances out of the child actors. Christian Bale in Empire of the Sun. Like, he works with child actors a lot. In Ki Hai Kwan in Temple of Doom. Like, he just is known for having these kids in his movies. And when I was watching this, I was like, it doesn't quite hold up, the kids.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got B.D. Wong, who we've already mentioned.
The legendary.
Yes. Samuel L. Jackson, Wayne Knight, Richard Attenborough, brother of famous, animal narration flicks.
Well, first of all, it's Sir Richard Attenborough. He was knighted. And more famous brother? Sir Richard Attenborough's pretty famous, bro.
You uncultured swine.
You uncultured
I'm pretty sure it is Sir David as well.
Well, they're both knighted. Why are we giving David all the props?
David's a bit of a legend.
Man, I did not expect the Sir Richard Attenborough slander.
And then, of course, Goldblum, Laura Dern, and Sam Neill. Which Sam Neill, does he do a bad job in any movie? I don't think so.
No, man. Sam Neill is like the he's like the Indiana Pacers, man. There's nothing flashy. They're just going to come out and be good every time out.
Which, if you haven't seen Event Horizon, that one's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's too creepy for me. I watched it once. I don't need to watch it again. Sam Neill's great in it, though. He's great in everything.
Yeah.
Jackson, what holds up for you?
Well, I'm going to go with the effects and the models.
Yeah, they use real life
Practical
things. Models,
I mean, it's a mix of practical and early CGI, but I feel those models hold up even better than when you're talking about World or whichever ones we're in now. And they use them appropriately. I don't feel like you get overexposed to them where, it desensitizes you. I mean, maybe the raptors towards the end, but it's really the one that I feel did the right thing with this kind of movie of having it be that horror movie, and it's kind of almost a slasher film. It's, they have these encounters with the dinosaurs versus it just being, this is a world with dinosaurs in it. It's real self-contained, and I think everything still looks pretty well for the age of the movie, and there's definitely things that are much newer that have dated much worse.
Yeah, the effects are great. I think when I was watching this, I was really struck with later movies in this series use a lot of green screen, and this one is filmed in Hawaii, like real places, and boy, can you tell. The cinematography is amazing. My first, what holds up for me is this is peak Spielberg. Spielberg, when he's at his best, has this great formula that this movie just nails. So you start off with the wonder, the awe, and it takes you into the dread. And then it takes you into roller coaster style action. So going from wonder to dread, no one does this better than Spielberg. From the feel-good, exciting vibes of the start of the tour to the moment when the kids hear the first footsteps of the T-Rex, seeing the wire snap, seeing the water in the cup shake. Like, going from wonder to dread is just a Spielberg staple. I think of the Indiana Jones movies, like they're perfect at this as well. Then once the roller coaster starts moving, it barely slows down. And when it does, it's like perfectly timed to give the audience the characters a break. Think when they're sleeping in the tree.
I was going to say the sneezing of the dinosaur.
Yeah, there's just enough of a time to take a breath and a little bit of a levity where it releases the tension. The Spielberg face is something in my research, that's a real thing. It's a recurring motif in his movies where characters, often children, gaze in awe at something off screen. In this movie, Sam Neill does it. The scene when they first see the dinosaurs, and it's a meme where he's like fumbling at his sunglasses to try and take them off. But also he uses characters' reactions for unseen threats. Think of Lex when they think they're safe at the end, and the Jello. Yeah, the Jello and the shaking. She sees the Velociraptor, of course, that we don't see, the audience, until after she's already reacting to it. Spielberg's amazing. He's just a master, and the way he frames things is great. What else holds up?
So Mr. DNA holds up.
Mr. DNA?
Dino DNA.
That was pretty good.
Dinosaurs.
There we go. There's the southern drawl.
So they got Greg Burson to do this, and he is the guy that replaced the original Yogi Bear voice and a lot of other famous cartoons, and they got him to do this, and I own a Mr. DNA Funko and Mr. DNA socks, and every time that I see him, I am taken back to my childhood. And when he made an appearance in Jurassic World, I was like, yeah, winning.
He made an appearance?
Yes.
Mr. DNA or the guy that does the voice?
Mr. DNA.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The guy who does the voice is dead. Rest in peace.
Oh, downer.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that. You should have warned me. Jackson, what else holds up?
I would say, I think we kind of already talked about it a little bit with the effects, but the storm that hits the island, that is also, I would say, equally with the dinosaurs. That is kind of the dread as it comes on slowly. And, it really works with the with the dinosaurs, like it's its own threat, and really adds to the environment. And let's see what else.
It really, like, Spielberg just has a way for just easing up the anxiety, because what I remembered and when I was watching this was the whole tour where the sun's out. It feels good. Like, it's a feel-good portion of the movie, even when they're not seeing any of the dinosaurs. And there's some comedy in there where, Goldblum's doing his thing, and it's flipping back to Hammond, and he's like, I really hate that man.
Love that scene.
But even up to the point where, like, okay, so the workers start to get concerned. They're like, oh, we got this storm on here. And finally up into the part where it carries so much gravitas when Attenborough says, I wonder if you'd be so good to retrieve my grandchildren. Like, that just line carries so much weight by the time you get to it. And it's this screeching halt of the good feelings into, oh, this just passed into serious, which, again, Spielberg's just a master. I'm going to say the soundtrack, the score. It almost seems like it doesn't need to be said, but that John Williams is incredible.
Who?
Yeah, right. John Williams, dude, has some of the most iconic scores in cinema history. Star Wars, Superman, Indiana Jones. And I'm sitting there halfway through this movie thinking, this one might be the best. It's super memorable like the others, but it also does such a great job of helping to create the emotions that Spielberg is simultaneously going for. Like, I can remember listening to this soundtrack when I was younger. I listened to this like nonstop. And there's parts of it that make me emotional, that the music itself brings me to tears.
It's so, especially like the main theme is so bombastic, and it captures the grandeur of the park.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I hear it, I think about the ginormous gates. Mm-hmm. Oh, the score is perfect for this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if John Williams makes a bad score, but this definitely isn't it.
He must have, right? Surely
Sometime.
he has. He began scoring this in February 1993 and recorded the music in April. He began in February, recorded in April. This dude's a legend. He composed it at Skywalker Ranch in California, drawing inspiration from sound designer Gary Rydstrom's dinosaur noises. So they sent John Williams a bunch of the noises the dinosaurs were going to make in the movie. Yeah, interesting stuff. What else? What else is good?
One thing that really holds up is that scene almost at the very end where the T-Rex is defeating the velociraptors and then the banner falls perfectly. Oh, that's chef's kiss.
That is cinema.
Yes.
Seriously, that is amazing.
Honestly, might be my favorite, like, victorious ending. Because, like, I always rooted for the T-Rex. I never was a Velociraptor guy.
Yeah.
And, like...
Naturally.
Controversial opinions here.
Yes. But...
Front runner.
And, of course, T-Rex inadvertently helps everyone get off the island. But, like, that is such a memorable scene. And it's just ingrained in my head.
They made that a Funko Pop as well. I have it.
That would be the second one I would get.
Yeah, it's an amazing one. It's got the banner falling and everything.
Odd that the T-Rex does make quite the face turn over the course of the franchise, but I did come up with one more, and I don't know if this is a holds up as much as just something I was reflecting on the merchandising for this movie. The Burger King, and I'm encapsulating the whole franchise. But the Burger King watches, Cody and I were looking at those on eBay and wondering if we could justify those purchases to our wives.
The answer is yes.
The answer was no.
I have rubber stamped it. Yes, get those watches.
But
how much were they asking?
Oh, it was like $30.
Yes.
I wanted the Dino I watch. The other ones I could take or leave.
Why are we even talking about this? $30? That's a buy. Instant buy.
You tell that to Leah.
I was going to say, you can come tell my wife that. But I also remember the Jurassic Park pinball machine.
Yes.
I actually had that at my grandparents' furniture store for a while, and I have that theme playing in my head, and that was definitely a possible waste of money by me in my youth. I definitely looked.
No, sir.
Your grandparents got rich.
Underrated pinball machine, Jurassic Park.
Absolutely.
That's a great pinball machine. I have a couple more. I'd like to talk about Sir Richard Attenborough, who Cody slandered.
I didn't slander.
You mean Dave's little brother?
I just said that the Attenborough family is talented.
They are. Richard Attenborough hadn't acted for 14 years before being persuaded by Spielberg to take on the role of John Hammond. Spielberg expressed that he couldn't envision anyone else in the role. Frankly, I can't either. Which led to Attenborough's return to acting. He was initially hesitant about returning, finding film directing more comfortable at the time. But he later acknowledged that Jurassic Park likely had become his best known role. I mentioned this earlier. His portrayal of John Hammond was a departure from the character's more antagonistic traits in the novel. And Spielberg envisioned Hammond as a blend of Walt Disney's kind of visionary optimism, and get this, Ross Perot. You remember Ross Perot?
Yes.
A billionaire who ran for president as an independent. Hi, I'm Ross Perot. You remember? Yeah, he was wild. But yeah, when you think about that, you can see it. But mostly, I like seeing Sir Richard Attenborough because he reminds me of my grandmother. Now, stay with me here. So my grandma, who was from England, my grandpa had passed away years earlier, so she lived alone. And when I was a teenager, we used to go on these like dinner and a movie dates, which I suppose were great for both of us. Like, I'm a teenager who gets to hang out with his grandparents and go see movies, and my grandma gets the company of one of her grandchildren. It was just these things I look back on as a special time. And I remember Jurassic Park specifically because I'd already seen the movie a couple times. I think I went and saw this in the theater like 8 times. It was, the theater experience cannot be undersold for this movie when it came out, because the sound, the surround sound, all of it was just so impressive. It was such an experience.
Tom Cruise thanks you.
Yes, thank you.
So does Nicole Kidman.
You're welcome, Tom Cruise. But I went with my grandma, and the theater's full, even on like this 3rd or 4th time I'm seeing it. And we're up near the front because we were a little bit later than I would like. And we're sitting there in this full theater, and at the Tyrannosaurus Rex scene, when he saves the day that you mentioned, my grandmother stands up, like yelping. She's like, oh, and she got a cramp in her leg, but she's British, so she didn't call it cramp. She's like, oh, I have a Charlie horse. I'm like, Grandma, you're embarrassing me. Come on. But she's like standing up in front of all these
And that was the last movie night date.
It was not the last movie night, thankfully. But it reminds me of my grandma so much. And not least of which is this. My grandmother actually met Sir Richard Attenborough twice. So once as a younger girl in Sandwich, England, she was just walking down the street and she had a bunch of her books from school and she was struggling with them. And he happened to be just walking down the street. He was there for filming or something. And he was just happened to be walking and saw her struggling with the books and offered to help her. And
what a nice guy.
He carried her books, and she would meet him again years later because my grandmother was into acting. She was in a presentation of Taming of the Shrew in London. And through these things that she was kind of a part of, met him again and talked to him.
And thanked him for carrying the books.
Which she relayed these stories to me. And so when I see Sir Richard Attenborough, I think of my grandmother.
But not David.
So there will be no Sir Richard Attenborough slander. Also, things that hold up. We haven't really hit on Goldblum.
The Bloom?
I mean, this is his big movie. This is his biggest movies before this are Earth Girls Are Easy and The Fly.
Don't forget Death Wish.
Earth Girls Are Easy and The Fly. This movie sends him on an epic run. So this movie in 1993, 9 months with Hugh Grant in 1995, when Hugh Grant's at his rom-com height at this point. So that was a big movie. Independence Day in 96, then The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2 in 1997. And now he's one of the most iconic actors of this generation.
Wicked.
Yeah. Like seriously, He was in Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok. I mean, he's just iconic now. And to think that when this movie came out, he was just that weird dude from The Fly. and in this movie, he just rules this movie. He is kind of, everything's orbiting around him once he enters into this movie. He's that much. So in Michael Crichton's novel, Ian Malcolm is portrayed as more cynical, less heroic. But Jeff Goldblum is the one who suggested to Spielberg that his character should display more bravery. The scene where he grabs the flare, which is kind of an iconic scene where he's rather stupidly,
yes,
but nobly trying to distract the T-Rex, and Grant tells him, "Ian, freeze!" Like that scene.
Get rid of the flare.
That all came from Jeff Goldblum. That was his idea. And we've talked about the main cast and how great they are, but can we give it up for the supporting cast? Almost every single side character that graces the screen, no matter how little time they get, is super memorable. Wayne Knight, Samuel L. Jackson, the guy that plays Muldoon. I just don't remember.
Very memorable.
I don't remember his name.
Peck.
Bob Peck. Every one of these characters has less than 10 minutes of screen time, and yet each one of them has a quote or a meme that still gets mentioned and remembered today. Jackson, anything that doesn't hold up for you?
Well, I'll be a bit of a Debbie Downer and really probably not be able to expand on it much, but I would say just the science. Because as a kid, I grew up and I'm like, okay, well, Jurassic Park, 100% scientifically accurate.
It is.
And now to find out as I grow older, just how far off it is and everything. It's a little disappointing for me. I'm one of those, like, that's still my dinosaurs,
Yeah.
You're not going to get me into the feathers.
Dolly.
I mean, far off from the current opinion. Because that's the thing, is I think the hardest thing about being a kid and loving dinosaurs is when you grow up going, oh, by the way, this is all just guesswork. We don't really know. This is what they looked like.
So they had an x-ray of, like, what a beaver skeletal skeleton looks like, and the tail has like ridges coming off of it, bone ridges throughout the tail, and you wouldn't know that it had like kind of a extra roundish tail if you just looked at the skeletal remains, and
which is all we get to see of dinosaurs,
and so you don't know what it looks like.
This is one of the hallmarks of Crichton's writing. Crichton is on the forefront of scientific discovery. Like, that's just where his interest lies. So he writes a lot of things that are kind of on this edge.
Looking in U.S. world.
It turns out, like, at some point later on, we weren't quite there. This is not what we thought. But at the time he writes it, it is. And he does his homework. Crichton's a smart dude, does a lot of research. But the film's central premise, cloning dinosaurs from ancient DNA preserved in amber, does not hold up to modern day science. DNA degrades over time, and the oldest DNA ever recovered is only about 1 million years old, whereas non-avian dinosaurs went extinct allegedly around 66 million years ago. So that's quite the stretch.
I'm choosing to believe you can do it.
All right. Which character would you be, Jackson?
Muldoon.
I could see it. Jackson is like literally in here in a muscle shirt, sun's out, guns out. He's totally Muldoon. Cody, who would you be?
The lawyer.
No, I would be Ray Arnold.
Oh, what?
I am Samuel L. Jackson.
You wish, buddy. You wish.
Telling you to hold on to your butts. Otherwise, I'm Timmy, probably.
If I had to pick a character in Jurassic Park, I'd be Samuel L. Jackson. I'd be Ray Arnold. Because I'm just here doing my job, making sure everything runs smoothly while trying to. I'm telling everyone to hold on to your butts.
If you are Ray Arnold, then I'm Nedry.
I'm trying to stay calm, keep the system running. I'm trying to be the hero. I do get the system running again, but I'm also Raptor food.
Yes.
Because that would be my fate. And Samuel L's cool. I'm less cool, but I think it would have rubbed off.
If this podcast has to be the tech room, I guess I am Nedry.
I'm getting more of a Dodgson off you.
Dodgson, we got Cody here. All right, deeper themes. Cody, Pastor's Corner, as we call it. Chaos theory is something very fascinating to me. It literally sets a framework of why humanity should be humble, that there is a limit to our intellectualism and what we can predict and plan for. And this movie is all about it. The book's even more about it. And the dude who's all about it in the movie is the most narcissistic guy, which is hilarious. The irony of that is awesome. At one point, Hammond is like kind of getting annoyed at Ellie attacking him, telling him how he messed up. Mm-hmm. It says creation is an act of sheer will. And all I wrote in my notes is man's lack of humility strikes again. Because whether you're a Bible believer or not, you can't deny that that has real wisdom. In Genesis, the thing that sets everything off down the path we're on from man in the garden with God is God says to the man, you have free reign, but don't eat the fruit from that tree. Now, the tree was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and man wants to judge. Man wants to be in control. That's the whole thing. That's the whole problem. Jurassic Park is a modern day retelling of the story of the fall of man in the garden, in my opinion. It's just asking whether humanity can ever learn to accept the mystery of life and the inherent unpredictability of the world around us. And that maybe that the real message is that much like Adam and Eve, we need to trust in a higher order and be humble in our attempts to understand it.
The answer to that question is no.
No what?
No, that we cannot just accept the mysteries of life.
No, we can't. No, we think we know everything. Yes. And this movie, I mean, that is the main message of this movie. And it's one that Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character, kind of hits over and over again, is like the hubris of man.
Yes. I will also say that there can be softening of hearts. As we see in this movie, Sam Neill does not like kids. He threatens a kid with a velociraptor claw talon. And then by the end of it, he really cares for Timmy and Lex.
He does. It's very sweet.
It is.
Apparently not enough to maintain his relationship with Ellie Sattler.
Nope.
All right. Who's your winner of the movie, Cody?
I went Mr. DNA. Sabotage in the last second.
Please tell us why Mr. DNA is the winner of this movie.
Because he gets to appear in Jurassic World.
Wow, really? That's all you got?
And
Pretty
also
low bar.
No, also very memorable and memeable. And so I'm all about Mr. DNA. Right. I really think that he steals the movie, because it would have been probably Richard is up there.
You can't see it, but I'm side-eyeing so hard right now. It's hurting me.
But I'm going with Mr. DNA.
Hey, you can shape these categories however you want. That's Cody's answer. I don't expect anyone to give him any. Well, just, let him know. You know how to do it. Jackson, who's the winner of the movie?
I'm going to go with the T-Rex.
Yeah!
You guys are funny.
I had
Mr.
Ian Malcolm
DNA
as a fallback, but I'm going to say the T-Rex because that's a character that's endured through all the movies, more memorable than the Raptor, because now you have blue. Some generations, their Raptor is blue. We've got the original ones. But that is the iconic piece of merchandise, shirts, everything is the T-Rex. It continues to show up. I know it's maybe not the same one, but that's the beat they always go back to in these movies is
the T-Rex has to save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who else, the other beat they go back to in these movies?
B.D. Wong.
Let's be real. B.D. Wong. Yes, that's correct. Jurassic Park's full of big moments. You got dinosaurs, chaos, screaming kids. But the real winner, Jeff Goldblum. He waltzes in, cracks a few sarcastic comments, saves the day with a flair, kind of, and somehow makes being injured look way cooler than it should. He's the guy who kind of walks into a crisis, takes his shirt off, and somehow we're all like, yeah, he's got this. Because he's just got that kind of confidence. Meanwhile, everyone else is running for their lives. Goldblum's just out here giving us the most memorable lines in the movie. He's not surviving. He's thriving. And boy, does he thrive. He's one of the most iconic actors working today. And that journey all starts with this movie. Jeff Goldblum, Hollywood treasure.
Bruce Dern was a close second because Laura got acting gigs.
Plus, we really liked Bruce in The Burbs.
I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback on Ian Malcolm, though, because Bryce Dallas Howard's character does the same thing with the flare in Jurassic World in heels and pulls it off, no injuries.
Yeah, but that whole movie's a copy, so he did it first.
But she is unscathed.
Yeah,
and she's running in heels.
That makes it worse. And to a bigger, faster monster. It's unrealistic.
It's very realistic.
Dominus Rex. My kid thinks that's a real dinosaur, too.
How dare you slander Ronnie Howard's daughter?
I'm not. I'm slandering the Dominus Rex. All right. Who's your loser of the movie?
Probably Miguel Sandoval.
Who?
Juanito. He's the guy at the very beginning.
The Amber farmer?
Yeah. He unfortunately only gets that one scene.
Okay.
That's it.
Look, Cody just really wants a prequel that's all about Juanito, whatever his name is, the Amber miner.
Yes.
He's just, somewhere in the Amazon looking for some amber.
Yes.
Okay.
Juanito.
Interesting choice. All right. Jackson.
Well, I could very easily go Muldoon, but I'm going to go with
Poor Muldoon.
Gennaro the lawyer.
Oh, man. Yeah, he buys it.
He does.
In the worst way.
Well,
Elvis style.
And as a small child, it was... Because if I remember correctly, he hides in the bathroom. He's not
He does. He
using
runs.
the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because
small
child me thought he was using the bathroom.
It does
and
kind of
that's
look
what
like
made it a lot funnier, but also kind of like, because I think that's the when you gotta go line.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one that's kind of changed over time, but he's there on a count of the investors, and I believe he's the first one to go.
Yes, he meets Juanito.
He's going to die too, though, because his turn is so fast. He starts off as I'm just here to do a job. We need to make sure that if these guys want to sign off on this, because I got to tell the insurance companies. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, we're going to make all the monies.
We could have a coupon day.
And I'm like, wait, what's this we stuff, bro?
Capitalism. He is representing the bad side of capitalism, and he bites the dust.
To Cody, there is no bad side of capitalism.
My loser here, the real loser, Michael Crichton. Now, don't get me wrong. His Jurassic Park novel is brilliant. It's got layers. It's got tension, deep, deep thoughts on science and ethics. But let's face it, Spielberg's movie is so iconic. It kind of leaves that book in the dust. I mean, Cody doesn't even want to read it. Crichton's original vision gets tossed around and played with a bit here, but the characters are different. Plot points are way altered. The movie's so successful, it's basically its own thing at this point. In the book, it's like, hey, remember me? Crichton got a nod, but Spielberg takes home the trophy. Classic case of the book being overshadowed by the movie. And deservedly so. As good as the book is, the movie's something else, man. So let's just rate it. Okay. How many Barbasol cans out of 10 are we giving this movie?
9.5.
You don't even have to. I don't even think we have to explain this.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised at you because I thought I was going to have to be the one that comes in underneath, but I'm going to go 10. Mm-hmm. This is a movie where, like, I would have been fine if everything that came after it was just basically a copy of it. I felt like this is the formula that they hit it right the first time, and then they immediately ran away from more and more with each subsequent film.
Yeah. This is the kind of movie where it's so good, I'm dubious of you making sequels. Like, they're as good where you're like, oh yeah, I want more sequels. I want more of the story. But then the movie can be so good where you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know how you touch this. This movie is that. This movie is perfection. I'm not sure I've ever given one of these on the pod before, but this is a 10. This is an absolute 10.
I'm slow about giving 10s.
I know. I feel like I am too, but this movie, watching it last night, I'm like, this movie is so stinking good. It's just really, really perfect.
Do you feel this should have gotten the Jaws treatment?
The Jaws treatment?
I don't really count those sequels, but that it should have just stayed evergreen. And
yeah, like there shouldn't be a Jaws 2, Jaws 3. Although, like, Jaws is the first one of those. It's like the first summer blockbuster. That's what a lot of people consider it. In a lot of ways, this movie is like the descendant of Jaws. In Spielberg did Jaws, so it's like, I mean, literally, even down to the practical effects. Like, that was a real shark that he was using in the water. It's not real, but you know what I mean. Something they built, right? Obviously, they didn't have CGI, but yeah, I mean, the Jaws sequels are a lot in the 80s vein. They remind me of the First Blood sequels, the Rambo sequels, where they're really cartoonish and really bear no resemblance to the original.
So if you're going to watch Jurassic Park, do you hit the first one and then stop?
I think of all these movies, I think I'm a Jurassic Park watcher. Occasionally Jurassic Park 3 and then Jurassic World, and that's probably it. But Jurassic Park and Jurassic World are the two I think I would come back to the most.
Because they're on the island. It is a self-contained story that, like, Jurassic World's just a repeat of Jurassic Park, and it almost hits most of the notes.
We talked about this in our review of Jurassic World Dominion, which was trash.
Thank you.
Shockingly.
Straight trash. And we talked a lot about that, about how I don't think you can do these movies off the island. I just don't think it works.
You have to suspend too much belief. And if you had made this a bigger epic sci-fi story that it broke containment at the end of the first Jurassic Park, maybe you could. But they tell you in Jurassic Park that, the dinosaurs can't create these enzymes, and that we have to keep feeding them these enzymes so that way they stay alive, or they'd be all dead in 6 months.
Yeah, that's a big thing in the books too, is that at the end of the first book is that all the dinosaurs are going to be dead. So there's not going to be anything left. We just keep these people from going home. No problems.
And so it made me think that Jurassic Park originally wasn't going to have a sequel.
Oh, no. In fact, they get Michael Crichton. They pay Michael Crichton to write it.
And so they saw the money and they're like, get me more of it.
Yeah. And that was another one. I read The Lost World before the movie. And unlike the first novel, I was like, oh, this is going to suck. And I was not wrong. But it did have Vince Vaughn.
That raptors in the tall grass scene, that did some wonderful formative things.
There's cool scenes in Lost World. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff there. They're still filming like this first movie with practical things in real world settings, which is nice. But
the T-Rex and the waterfall.
Yeah. All right.
Good times.
What did you guys think of Jurassic Park? Is it formative to your youth? Let us know in the social media posts, and make sure, like the post, share the posts, do all that stuff. Please help us out with the social media. Meanwhile, why don't you meet us out in the lobby? We're going to answer a listener question right after this.
Welcome to the lobby.
All right, we're out in the lobby. Jackson, what's your lobby snack of choice?
I'm a Reese's Pieces man, just like E.T.
Yeah, can't go wrong with the Reese's Pieces.
That's
it in
a
the
quality
popcorn.
one.
Yeah, if I'm not going to go nachos, I want sweet. I might go Reese's Pieces.
Got to put
It's
it
in my top
popcorn.
3. Popcorn and Reese's Pieces.
There you go.
Go back and forth.
I also
Mix
like
'em.
sweet
you
tarts.
can do that.
Sweet tarts are good for the first half of a movie, but if you keep chomping on them, your mouth gets all torn up.
Yeah, dry mouth.
Okay, it's time for our lobby question. We're out here in the lobby. It's what we do. We answer listener questions. This one ties in to the movie that we were just talking about. Comes from Geek, David Allen in Winter Park, Florida.
Hello, David.
Supplier of many questions here in the lobby.
Did we answer my question in the lobby?
What was your question?
It was Puss in Boots asking if you loved me, Dave.
No, I answered that on the social media with my like. I gave it a like. Of course we love you.
Thank you.
Weirdo. All right. David's question is, in Jurassic Park, Ian Malcolm claims that nature will not be contained, and that's why the park will fail. But its failure was only brought about by sabotage. Yet Malcolm still claims he was right. Why do you think he thought so? And do you agree or disagree? Now, I figured I would go first because I think Cody's going to disagree with me.
Oh.
Because I think we already kind of approached this.
Okay, I'm intrigued by Dave's thinking that we're disagreeing.
Well, because you seem to be judging by the couple things you texted me while you were watching it that the storm was the biggest part about all this. Like, it was just bad luck, basically. Whereas I think Ian Malcolm, I would say, to answer David's question, I do think Malcolm would still claim he's right. And I would say he would think so because he would say, listen, it's not about luck. It's not. The point is that you can't determine the variables, and there are always going to be variables you don't know. And that eventually those variables are going to expose the weakness in trying to think you can have it all under control, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, Malcolm would still claim he's right. And I agree with him. I think this is bound to happen. Does it get accelerated before it even opens because a hurricane hits right when Nedry is sabotaging? Yes. But that this was always going to happen.
So I would also deposit that nature includes human nature. Like, you don't know what people are going to do. And so, like, Nedry doing what he did fits within Ian's model. And the storm, like, I think if Nedry sabotages during broad daylight and everything's okay, it's not as bad of an outcome, or everyone can see everything and you hunker down until you can call in reinforcements. But with it being everyone was already hunkered down because of the storm then messes with the power after Nedry does his sabotaging of the system. It is one big cluster, and so I feel he's right.
Yeah, the bulk of the people are gone too.
Yes.
Because they've been being told throughout the beginning of the movie,
off the island.
Get to the boat.
Yep.
By a certain time. Jackson, what do you think?
I think we're going to go 3 for 3. I agree as well. You know, it's you were only thinking about if you could, not if you should, and life finds a way. And a lot of the things that they come out and they say, you know, well, we made it so they can't reproduce. You know, we have this thing that we have to keep feeding them, you know, or they'll die without it. And a lot of that gets disproven maybe in later films, but, you know, it's just the unpredictable nature of life that, you know, you can't truly prepare for everything because, as we've said, you know, a storm and a underpaid computer tech bring the park to its knees almost immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a great scene in there where Dr. Grant finds out that the dinosaurs have been reproducing. They've been reproducing on their own. And he says Malcolm was right. And I love that scene because, like, to me, that's like your old science guard. Here's guys who were experts in dinosaurs, and the math guy's right. Which, there's something about math, right? Like, I'm terrible at math, but I have great respect for mathematicians. Because I think if you're good at math, you just see the universe better.
I would argue you're correct.
Yeah. All right. Good question, David. If you have a question for us, look out for the Ask Us Anything lobby posts on our social media. Got to be following us. And make sure and comment below those and ask us some questions. Obviously, the better the questions, the better the chance you have, or the more fascinating the question is.
What tattoo would Dave get? That's a good question.
Off the wall questions like that, like, might be worthwhile. Like, try to be outside the box, or try to ask us such a good pop culture question we can't ignore it. And you'll get shout out.
Or Puss in Boots gifts.
Or Please do not send us Puss in Boots gifts. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.